Okay, take two. Yeah. Sorry guys. I tried to record a video just a bit ago. Uh, I wanted to talk a bit about pop culture, but it did not record my audio for some reason. Uh, OBS screwed up my audio settings, so I had to redirect, and I didn't feel like re reacting to the video and going off of the whole spiel. So I am reacting to Amala Ekpunabi's video on the BAFTA's mishap that is frying leftist brains. Now I know what this is about, mostly because I know of what happened at the BAFTAs. Uh, TLDR, a person with Tourette's uh, shouted the hard RN word. That's it. Uh, and the reason why is and it was from what I heard, it was off camera or off stage. It wasn't into the mic, so I'm not sure why people are saying it is deliberate. Cause dude, there is he was doing it on purpose, I could totally see it happening the uh right at the podium with the mic. I could see it being that being the indicator that he was doing it on purpose, but this isn't on purpose. I don't think. I think this is a wildly complicated situation. Personally, I think it's pretty disgusting the how the people that don't like the hard R N word to be said by white people in general are reacting, because this is I don't advocate for the use of the N word. Just to be fair, I don't think it's right for any race to use it. Uh, because it's a slur. It's always gonna be a slur. However, I do think that this was involuntary. So it's sort of like it's sort of like Vince McMahon getting angry at someone sneezing and firing them on the spot. All right, it's sort of like that. So this is a situation where I don't like how the quote unquote pro blacks have used it, has done this to this man, because it's pretty sad. It's pretty sad.
Up for this one. This one's gonna be a fun one. A man with Tourette's screamed the N-word at the BAFTAs at two black actors, and the left has been set on fire by this because it
Tourette's does not make you use slurs like that. It does, actually. You can't control what you say with Tourette's, dude. You can't control what you say with Tourette's at times. And anxiety will just amplify that. Like, what the heck? The school system's failed these people. That's all I'll say.
presents a very interesting dilemma. Does the left support the man with Tourette's because he's disabled and not supporting him would be ableist? Or do they support the two black men who heard the N-word because they're black and that's racist?
Yeah, it is a conundrum. It is a conundrum, and I am all for it. Personally, I'm more on the side of the guy with Tourette's. Uh, I I have autism. Um, I do think that it's an unfortunate situation. However, I do think that this is the one time we can excuse the use of the hard R N word, because if you're scrolling through the online sphere, if you even watched the one leftist uh, recording where they called it Ice Agent a house hard R N word, yeah, I would say it's very likely you would have heard the hard R N word at some point. Even in some black mostly black casts in some movies, you will actually hear the hard R N word at some point. I mean, I know they used it even in the Boondocks. It's it's an unfortunate situation. That's all I can say. And I do think they need to, and I do think there needs to be some grace put onto the man with Tourette's.
They have short circuited. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, you better. Yeah, you better.
Guys, before we get into today's video, please like and subscribe. This is funny to me. I'm just gonna go ahead and get right out of the gate and say this is funny. 20 years ago, this would have been funny. 30 years ago, this would have been funny. Now, it's not.
Yeah, it was a totally different climate. It was a totally different climate. I remember, I used to even hear Eminem say the hard RN word from time to time. Like, dude, it was much more equal back in the 2000s and the 90s. It was a lot more equal. This whole ancestral guilt, trauma stuff, it needs to stop. It needs to stop. Like, I'm sorry that your ancestor was enslaved, but I'm sure if you go back far enough, you'll find that my ancestors were enslaved. Heck, there was also a chance that my ancestors were enslaved by Muslims.
Funny, okay? This is creating online discourse and debate about ableism versus racism, and I'm gonna get you right into the situation here. We're gonna watch a clip from the Baptist. This is a break.
Yeah, this is why the Oppression Olympics is so dumb. So dumb, dude. So dumb. It's because now we have a conundrum here. Which do you want to defend? Do you want to be against racism, or do you want to be against ableism? You have to have some sort of standard here. And it's going into a situation where the woke people can't really describe what they want to do. It's one of those situations where God has pretty much made a situation for those perceived to be enlightened to trip over themselves.
British film
This
and
is
television
actually,
award show that
Divine
takes place
Comedy.
every year. And Michael B. Jordan and Delroy Lindo, who are famously in Sinners, a movie that is about black people, made by black people for black people, they were presenting an award, and a man with Tourette's screamed out the N-word. Let's watch.
Yeah, and I believe Alan Cummings even warned everyone that there may be offensive language right before this. So I'm not sure why in the world people got offended because he blurted out the hard RN word because of his Tourette's. And yeah, many people, including black people with Tourette's, have come out and stated, yeah, this is an embarrassing situation for him, and you should show a little grace. It's disgusting that he said the N-word. However, it's not as disgusting as saying he meant to do that. It's not like being drunk where sober thoughts are basically blurted out from the deepest recesses of your soul. It's not something like that.
Delroy and I are delighted to be presenting the first BAFTA of the night for a vital part of movie making. We're here.
Yeah, see what I mean? It was happening off stage. I could see it being more deliberate if it was on stage right at the podium here. But it seems like this was similar to a sneeze. Which means that it is not controllable at all. And I don't have Tourette's either. But I do try to understand the condition.
to celebrate.
Now, Michael B. Jordan and Delroy Lindo went on to professionally present this award despite the outburst from the man with Tourette's in the crowd. Now, let me explain his position. Now, the man who ended up screaming this obscenity at the BAFTAs is actually named John Davidson. Now, he's at the BAFTAs because there's a film telling his story of being a man with Tourette's who struggled with it, who struggled with socializing and living with this condition, and the film... the film is called I Swear.
Yeah, I like that name. I like that name. Okay, I like that name. It's actually a good name for it.
Okay. Now, apparently, he was saying swear words all night. I think he even told a woman with cancer at one point she was gonna die. Like, there were some pretty bad things coming out of this guy's mouth, but he has Tourette's. It's completely involuntary, and he cannot control it. If I can stop crying enough to continue telling this story, I'm gonna read a headline that's come out after this, and I'm not laughing at this headline. People took this very seriously.
Like I said, this is Divine Comedy. In regards to this whole, this is retard on retard violence. Okay, this is Divine Comedy. Yeah, this is hilarious to me as well. So, yeah, I find this funny that this is a retard on retard. This is a retard fighting retard. It's one of those situations where, yeah, I don't care about the BAFTAs, but I am fighting it hilarious with the backlash because we have the ableist crowd versus the racist crowd. It's actually kind of hilarious.
Okay. Michael B. Jordan is, quote, repulsed by the BAFTA's racial slur while his parents were left in tears. Now, his parents were there while he was presenting this award. Because they had heard the N-word, they left in tears over this. Even though what ended up happening at the BAFTAs is that the host...
Yeah, there's Alan Cummings.
Alan Cumming ended up taking to the stage and explaining the situation to the audience, saying that John Davidson was there for his film.
Yeah, I thought that was Alan Cumming when I saw it. I didn't know he was involved with the BAFTAs, though. Then again, I'm more familiar with his American work. Like the Spy Kids trilogy, Son of the Mask, stuff like that. And I know, some people will say Son of the Mask is a bad movie. I know. I did watch it as a kid. I thought it was enjoyable in its own right. But at the same point in time, now as an adult, I can agree, yeah, it's a bad movie. It's a guilty pleasure. I'm aware of its faults. But I'm still willing to watch it. But overall, yeah, this whole situation was pre-warned. Okay? Alan Cumming here warned everyone. There is no excuse to be offended.
Had Tourette's, that creates involuntary tics, and that the obscenities that he was screaming, he didn't really mean to. He's not in control of it. Now, this did end up airing on live TV, despite, I believe, a 2-hour delay between the actual live show and its airing, and people have been bringing up that the BAFTAs should have edited this moment out, that they should have bleeped the word, or at the very least explained to the audience what was going on, and I struggle with that. Should we sanitize what has actually taken place because we're scared that people are going to be offended by what has actually taken place? In my opinion, probably not. Now, maybe they should have bleeped the word, and television rules and regulations.
Yeah, probably bleep the word. They had enough time to bleep the word at least. But yeah, this situation is just left on left violence. Okay, I find it hilarious. Now, do I hope that the guy with Tourette's actually loses career opportunities? No, I actually hope the opposite. I hope he actually gets more. As for the people getting all offended because the man of Tourette said something he had no control of, Well, cope and seethe. That's all I can say. Cope and seethe.
Regulations may have something to say about that, but bleeping for the sake of people who may be offended, I'm not really for. Now, as I said at the intro of this video, this created a very interesting debate in leftist circles, because leftists are now asking themselves, do they defend a disabled man who has Tourette's because of what he's done, or do they defend the black person who has been offended and experienced what they believe to be racism for hearing the N-word? Let's watch some.
Yeah, it's a retard fighting retard. That is what I love seeing. That is what Nux loves seeing, and I'm pretty sure Nux is going to talk about it.
TikToks.
The man who called Michael B. Jordan the N-word today said this.
Sometimes my text I'll shout the N-word, you know.
That can get you in
and
trouble.
People misunderstand that and they see it as being racist. And that's one thing I ain't racist.
You just can't control what's coming out of your...
can't control what is supposed to not be said.
It's very hard, because if you're standing out there and you shout out the N-word or the B-word, and someone's walking past, they're going to think you're just being rude.
Yeah, it's pretty much retard on retard violence. Oh my gosh, I love this. I love this. Oh man, this is... You do not have... We need more of this. We need more of this. And we are getting more of it. We are getting more of it, luckily. And I am happy about it, because... Here's the thing. The first time I think the left was having an identity crisis was with the whole Israel-Palestine stuff. I think they were having an identity crisis during that. Because do they support the Muslims who are killing Jews, or do they support the Jews who are killing Muslims? It's a conundrum. It is a conundrum for them, because they don't know what to do. Some of them are definitely pro-Palestine. I'm not gonna lie. Some of them are definitely pro-Palestine, say there's... saying that the Jews started the war. Then there are those that are pro-Israel that are saying that Israel's just defending themselves. I'm pretty much in the mindset of Israel deserves to be a nation. I want to stay America first. Let's just stay away from it. That's my opinion.
You're racist. Can it be triggered?
Triggers are a massive thing for Tourette's, being in a social space like this. Things like certain noises outside can trigger someone walking along the street that's maybe a bit overweight, and I'm like, you know, and it's like, I didn't want to say that, because the last thing I want to do is offend and upset someone.
I always wonder if white people who had Tourette said the N-word, and I guess I got my answer now. It might be a little different in John Davidson's case, because when I went to do a little bit of research, it said that only 10% of people who have Tourette's have involuntary Tourette syndrome. I also read that it's...
Oh, okay. Only 10%. So, what? What? Like, dude, 10% doesn't mean that it doesn't happen. It means it's extremely rare. Okay? And John Davison may actually have that maybe among the 10%. And yeah, that is the possibility here. It's nothing. It doesn't disprove that he doesn't have Tourette's, or prove that it was involuntary. It doesn't prove that. So your statistics actually don't disprove anything, or prove your point. It doesn't prove your point, nor disprove that Davison is controlling his words.
Not an inflection on how a person may speak on a daily, but honestly, I don't know. That information is probably not going to stop most of us from being offended, because why that word? Also, the clip that I played you guys earlier came from an interview 4 months prior from today. In the interview, he speaks about the last time him being at a movie theater was at the age of 10. And the last movie he's ever watched at a cinema was E.T., because that's when his symptoms started showing up and he was way too embarrassed to keep going. So he talked about not being able to go to the movies with his friends. He just kind of stayed home because he didn't want to mess it up for everybody else. He also talked about having trouble with law enforcement because he would involuntarily call them pigs and they would detain him for it. Imagine thinking the worst thing that you can say at the time and can't even control yourself not to say it. That's crazy. Honestly, this is a really complicated issue. Why do I feel like somebody's gonna turn this into a skit one day? This look.
He's right that it is a complicated issue. However, it is one of those situations where I do think we should consider giving some grace. Okay, we should consider giving some grace to Jeff Davison. Alright? Look, he blurted out the hard R N word. It isn't a pattern. So, let's just drop it. That's my stance. Let's just drop it. But, hey, if you guys want to keep on doing the return of violence, I'm alright with it.
I'm going to stop there and say this isn't complicated. You had somebody with an involuntary disease and affliction say something that was involuntary, and as soon as that was explained, we should have moved on from the situation, especially when you get to realize the life that this man has led for quite some time, struggling with this affliction. If you're wondering why he said the N-word, I bet he's wondering why he's doing it too, and he's wondered that his entire life and has struggled with this his entire life. I think we can get over hearing a word that has offended us given the circumstances. And interestingly enough, this has had some leftists stating that people with Tourette's who are struggling with this syndrome should not be allowed at venues like award shows, movie theaters, places where they're going to be around the public, period, which is very interesting because I thought this group of people was against ableism.
Oh, I paused it on a good face here. But yeah, I still say that this is basically retard on retard violence. And yeah, I think this is divine comedy. I think that God actually made this situation happen for a reason. Now do I, my heart goes out to the Jeff Davison. Okay, I do, my heart does go out to him, but at the same point in time, the crowd that is trying not to be ableist and the crowd that is not trying to be racist are at odds. So I am basically here for that sort of situation.
Let's watch some more TikToks, though.
I thought I was done talking about this for the night, but this situation has gotten so much worse. Hannah Beachler, who's the production designer on Sinners, who was at the BAFTAs tonight, has confirmed that the incident regarding the slur with John Davidson was not the only occurrence. She posted this thread onto Twitter. I keep trying to write about what happened at the BAFTAs, and I can't find the words. The situation is almost impossible, but it happened 3 times that night. And one of the 3 times was directed at myself on the way to dinner after the show.
Boo-hoo. I'm gonna go ahead and say it. Boo-hoo. These people are calling from apologies from the people who have organized the show. They're calling...
Yeah, boo-hoo. Boo-hoo. You got called a racial slur. Boo-hoo. Here's the thing. I get called... I get broad brushed with racial slurs all the time. Okay? I get broad brushed with the racial slurs all the time. I've heard several people label white people, quite a few people label people as cracker, white devil, peckerwood, basically all across the board. You know what I do? I just go, okay, whatever. Like, it doesn't matter to me. And trying to do some sort of... And the only way you're going to get over that word is to just have a thicker skin. That's all I can say. Just have a thicker skin. And yeah, you can say this is a bad take or whatever, but the hard RN word's just a word, dude. And if you don't want people to say it, then just don't say it. That's it. Work on being the solution, not the problem.
calling for apologies from the production company and the corporations behind the creation of the BAFTAs. They're saying that the audience should have been warned that a man with Tourette syndrome was at the awards before he got there so that they could handle the situation and know beforehand what words they may or may not have heard. I'm sorry. We do not have to child-proof your entire world so that you don't hear something you don't want to hear from a man who is saying it involuntarily. Again, as soon as we understood what took place in this situation, everybody should have gotten over it, but unfortunately, this is the situation that we're in. Let's keep watching.
To dinner after the show. And a third time at a Black woman. I understand and deeply know why this is an impossible situation. I know we must handle this with grace and continue to push through, but what made the situation worse was the throwaway apology of if you were offended at the end of the show.
Well, what else can you say? Offense is taken, not given. Alright? So that means that you took offense. Just get a thicker skin. That's all I can say. Get a thicker skin.
Of course we're offended, but our frequency and our spiritual vibration is tuned to a higher level than what happened.
Of course we're offended. Are you joking? Can we move on? Really, can we be bigger than this? I know we all feel that there is some sort of idea that we're meant to walk on eggshells around certain groups of people because of things they may be offended by. And I guess in this case, of course, they're offended by. But no, we don't have to do that. And so interestingly, this guy is there to promote and to talk about a film, about his struggles in these involuntary tics, and is now just ushered into a world where it's at the forefront of everything. And he's being called a racist for something that he cannot control. And that's not to say that this particular woman is calling him a racist. She's explaining this is a complex and difficult situation. I'm just pushing back and saying it's not difficult at all. In fact, it's very easily explained. And if you're offended by something out of somebody's control that they in no way, shape, or form meant to offend.
Okay, I take back what I said about it being a complicated issue. Yeah, I think it is a little more easier to... It is a little more easier to explain. Because I do think that, yeah, grow a thicker skin. Stop being so offended by the hard R N-word. If you don't like the hard R N-word being used by white people, then then the black community needs to stop using it. That's all I can say. Stop using it. White people have... for the most part, have stopped using it. So why are blacks still using it? And the only people I hear using it nowadays are people on the left. Need I remind you that somebody at an ICE protest called an ICE officer who is black the hard R N-word. And there's a video of it. You can find it. Just stop, okay? Just stop it with these double standards.
And you with, or to be racist towards you with, you have a problem, not the person. And now some individuals are in fact policing the way in which this guy has Tourette's, saying they know other people with Tourette syndrome who don't say the N-word. Let's watch.
I ain't never heard that winded up girl with Tourette's say one time on this app. I ain't never heard her say I've been ninjas. I ain't never heard her say that once. But you tell...
Okay, and? As the first clip is stated, this only 10% have that whole involuntary verbal equivalent of a sneeze. She probably isn't among those 10%. I don't know, but still, this sounds like the whole. I know a person who doesn't do this. Like, okay, and that doesn't excuse you behaving this badly towards somebody.
Telling me Michael B. Jordan and Delroy, they had the little I don't even know what the event is. and they up there just trying to, you know, read the prompter, and some actor or whatever, he got Tourette's. Tourette's don't make you do that shit, bro.
So now we have experts, armchair experts on Tourette syndrome, because one person has Tourette's in a specific way and another person doesn't. That somehow invalidates the way in which his Tourette's manifests in him as an individual.
Yeah, that's how this works, dude. Like I said, that guy is okay. That guy's special. That guy is definitely special needs. But still, this is pretty dumb. I'm going to get to say it like it is. This situation is pretty dumb, and it's just retard on retard violence.
Huh? When I say some of these individuals have their brain twisted in a pretzel over this is exactly what I mean, okay? There's nothing really else to say about this entire situation, other than the fact that the only reason we're here and we're having such a deep conversation about this is because we've been told we need to walk on eggshells around this specific word because of the way that it impacts Black people. And we're now really proving that, because this is the furthest situation from something offensive involving this word where you could possibly be. He literally cannot control his saying of the word.
Yeah, this is pretty much a situation where it's excusable. This is the one situation where it's excusable. And now I am basically stating the hard R word is gonna have to be turned into just another word. That's all I'm gonna have to say. Because here's the thing, the white left, you guys have said more racial slurs than us on the right have. Believe it or not, racial slurs are cursing. And cursing is a sin, and most on the religious right, we do not try to sin. We try to better ourselves all the time, and we try to make sure we don't swear that often, if at all. And we don't use racial slurs. Now, some people will say, but the religious right was involved with slavery. Like, okay. And the Jews were involved with slavery. And guess what? The Jews were also enslaved. Moot point. It doesn't really matter, because guess what? Christians were enslaved. They were enslaved by Muslims. That's what started the Crusades. You guys want to say that it's the Christians that are big bad evil. Like, nah. We're normal people. The moment you start demonizing us is the moment you lose the plot.
Word, and he most definitely does not have a racist intent behind saying it, and still people are offended. That means we need to come in, look internally at our views about this word, and maybe do some shifting and changing in regard to our response here. I mean, you have people, celebrities like Jamie Foxx, hopping online and saying that what happened was unacceptable, and
yeah, Jamie Foxx is a retard. Oh, man. Well, yeah, see, now you've had that out of all the words you could have said. Tourette's makes you say that. Unacceptable. Like, dude, Tourette's makes you say the most off-colored things.
quote, nah, he meant that shit. Are you okay? This grand push to be a victim when you're not a victim, especially given the context here, I'm over it. It's getting tired. And are we all just gonna pretend like this deserves more airtime than it does? I'm not. The only airtime this really deserves is just to have a little bit of humor about maybe what took place there, or to push back on the
Oh, I'm having a lot of humor at it. But it's mostly from the reactions. It's mostly from the reactions of the retard on retard violence. Like, no, I hope that there's not actual violence. Okay, I don't want that. However, I do enjoy seeing two sides of the same political line just attacking each other. Like, it's basically the Russian Olympics. Okay, that's the term I'm looking for. It's the Oppression Olympics put in stereo, and I just say grab some popcorn and just watch. It is hilarious.
People who are now attacking a man with Tourette's because of something that he couldn't control. We have to at some point be tired of everybody being offended by everything, of everybody needing an apology for every single thing that they face in life. And if you are offended by this or feel like you need an apology from the BAFTAs or from John Davidson over what's happened here, we cannot calibrate society to your needs. We have to move on. In the oppression Olympics, which is apparently also happening right now, the people who are offended by this, you got gold. Here's your medal, sis. Guys.
Oh no, this Oppression Olympics is still going on. Personally, I think that, yeah, this is a dumb situation. And I do hope Jeff Davison does actually come out on top from this, but at the same point in time, I find this incredibly hilarious because it is retard on retard. Mostly from the people who are anti-racist and the people who are anti-ableist. Because the left can't make up its own mind in this situation. It's hilarious.
Those are my thoughts on the N-word being screamed at the BAFTAs by a man with Tourette's. Hopefully this helps in any way, shape, or form for this conversation. I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments down below. Let me know what you think. As always, if you disagree with anything I said in this video, do get up and just...
I agree with her. But yeah, I think it's... I mean, come on! The BAFTAs got a guy with Tourette's who made a movie about living the struggles of having Tourette's, and then we have him shout the hard R N-word off stage, and then all the TikTok goes into a hizzy saying how this guy needs to be canceled and he meant it. Like, it's retard on retard violence. Oh my gosh, For more retard on retard violence, subscribe, like, comment, and subscribe. Oh man. And also for much more retard on retard violence, like, comment, and subscribe on the Ducks and North channel. They do retard on retard violence all the time. Alright, so talking to you guys later. Bye.